everybody, I am Ballerina Badass, and you are watching another story from behind the curtain. This is one of my favorites. Boston Ballet Summer Dance Camp. They would have a performance at the end of the 6-week period or 3-week period or whatever the session was, and we were doing solos from Don Q. We had an audition, and one of them was that lovely, beautiful solo that has really slow music. How's that music go? Nope. Da da dum dum da na na. Anyways, that one that has the really big développé at the beginning in Alice Gone, and then it finishes with a ton of Italian fouettes. Well, when I auditioned for the role, I didn't think I did particularly well. I definitely did not have the highest leg in the classroom. I definitely did not have the most Italian fouettes. But they gave me one of those solos. They gave me that solo, and I was so excited. So, I started working on the role, but quite frankly, one of my bad habits back then was if I was scared of something, I tended to not want to practice it. And at the same time as that was going on, another choreographer had come in, and his name escapes me, and he came in and watched our variation class one day, and we were doing that famous variation from Is It Paquita? With all the pirouettes at the end, which I also felt like I was doing a horrible job, but as usual I was emoting my ass off, and he selected myself and one other girl from our level to be in his modern piece. And it was all this great improvisation and working with retrograde and inversion and all these fantastic techniques and tools to create this beautiful piece with the two of us and a couple of guys, I believe. So that I loved doing. I felt really confident and was like, oh, I can work on this. And I remember at the time Devon Carney was the director of the program. Hi, Devon. And he warned me. He said, you really need to work on your variation for Don Q, and if you need to, you should drop the modern piece. And I remember thinking, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do both, and I'll just make it happen. And something that I had always been able to do in the past was make things happen. Either fake my way through it, or pray my way through it, or just force my way through it. Actually, case in point, when I was doing high jump in middle school, I would almost walk up to the high jump bar and then, like a skip, a light skip, and then I'd just and heave myself over. And they told me, if you actually got some technique behind you, you could jump so much higher. But I was already winning all the awards and trophies, so it was good enough, and I was like, this is good. Well, apparently karma's a bitch, and it was my turn. So the show comes around, and the problem with my particular variation, besides it being, of course, frickin' hard, was that the music they had selected was at a tempo that you either had to do really slow Italian fouettes that went like da, 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 or you had to double them up. Da, 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 da. And so I had decided, I think, to keep them slow. Well, that night, of course, let's add a little bit of drama to it, shall we? It's the final night of Boston Ballet Summer Dance Camp. My parents have come. They've driven all the way up from St. Louis to see me. And they tell me, literally, like, that night before the show, they see me and they say, hey, you know that cute guy that you've had a crush on for the past 3 years from summer camp down in Missouri? Well, he's here tonight with his brother to see you perform. I was like, oh my God, Brett's here, I'm freaking out. I do the modern piece first, mind you, so that I'm a little tired now, and it went well. So then I get the tutu on, I get my hair up, and I get out there, and here's the kicker. I'm getting ready to go on stage, and it was my dad, I think, who came up to me and said, I'm so sorry, it was going for so long, Brett had to leave, so he's not going to see you dance. So that's great. Brett leaves. I'm like, when you're 16, 17, 18, I forget which age I was, but somewhere in that teenage area, these kinds of things can feel pretty dramatic. And so I was like, ugh. Now I'm tired and disappointed, and I gotta go on stage to do this variation that I have not rehearsed enough. So I go on stage. I'm in the white, practice tutu with the white leotard, and the hair's back and everything. Start the variation. It's going well. The first movement goes fine. Second movement with the awesome blaze goes fine. Walk around, take my pose, the music's there, and I'm like, okay, Italian fouettes, let's do this. Rock it. I go into the first one, and up, and I hit it, and I stay, and I pose, and I'm like, yeah. And I go into the second one.
Ich roll nicht, und wenn das Herz auch bricht.
Boom! Fall on my ass, tutu up in the air, facing the audience. Complete.
Und sah dich lang, die dir am Herzen frisst.
Fail. At Boston Ballet Summer Dance Camp, in front of all the teachers and decision makers and parents and students.
Ich rolle nicht.
I don't remember anything after that except for the fact that I finished the music, the susu, and my head held high, and then I took my bow and I left the stage, lost my you-know-what, like crying, but come back on for the final little movement with the other two soloists, you get a beret around each other and the chorus in back of you, and then we took our bow, and I bowed like a frickin' movie star. I actually have a photo of me bowing.
Ich sah dich ja im Traume.
So it's a lot of fun when I forget that this video camera for some reason will only go for 20 minutes at a time, and I start to ramble, and then it shuts off. And then I keep rambling, thinking that it's just continuing to videotape. So that's what happened at the end of my Boston Ballet video. But I want to say a few things in closing about this lovely first behind the curtain video. Behind the curtain with Georgia Reed. I wanted it to be Tales from the Core, but I didn't do a lot of core stuff. That's not true. I guess I did some when I was younger. God, I'm such a diva. Anyways, I like Behind the Curtain. So, Behind the Curtain with Georgia Reed. This being the first one of my fabulous fall, the fabulous Boston Ballet Summer Dance Camp fall of 19-something. I watched back the footage, and man, I looked really sad. I don't know if you noticed that, but oh my gosh, I think it still really truly affects me at a deep level. I still have a lot of hurt around things that happened in the past, and I wish I could just give myself a little advice here and say, Georgia, let it go. It was one fall at a summer dance program in Boston. It's not like it was Lincoln Center for your one audition with the Royal Opera Ballet or whatever, but honestly, Boston Ballet is one of my dream companies. I love Boston Ballet. I always wanted to dance with them. And that'll be another behind the curtain story about how I auditioned for their year-round program, and I did get accepted, but I ended up not going because my parents and everybody sort of agreed to be good if I stayed in St. Louis for the family and all that, but secretly I was dying to go. I love Boston Ballet, and I love Boston, the city, and I just think they're fabulous. So, I think there's part of me that still feels sad about all of that, and that maybe somehow if I hadn't fallen, maybe, I don't know, somebody would have said, I want to hire you. But one slip and fall, I don't think makes for a decision by higher-ups. I think that they look at what you've done over the entire summer dance program. They're looking at, where you're at that age in your development and what you're doing, and there's so many other factors. So I would love to say to all of you out there, don't sweat it. You fall at a performance. Really, kiddies? She gets it from me. People make mistakes and life goes on. So I'm telling myself to breathe and let it go. Don't let extraneous circumstances get in the way of your performance. You know, that boy being there, whether or not he was in the audience, so what? Now that's hard. I mean, I was just reading this great article in Dance Magazine about the Hamilton musical. It was featuring 2 of their fabulous dancers, and they were saying how every night there's a new celebrity in the audience watching, and sometimes they're freaking out. You know, if President Obama is there, they're like, oh my God, I'm gonna be singing and dancing for President Obama. That's pretty huge. So I can see how it's hard not to be affected by that. But as much as you can, I recommend leaving your personal stuff at the door, kind of like taking off that jacket before you walk into the studio or walk on stage, and then you do your work in the performance or in the studio. And then when you come back out, the coat's waiting for you. Okay, you can put it right back on and go, but that's something that I still work on for myself as well. So I think that's everything. That was my share for you of Boston Ballet Summer Dance Camp behind the curtain flop fail thing. And I hope you all are having a fantastic summer. Whatever summer dance intensives you may or may not be at, whatever you're doing this summer, I hope it's a good one for you. And I will have more behind the curtain stories to share because there's lots. And thank you as always for watching, all of you. If you have some awesome horror story of when you fell on stage during a performance, comment in the box below. I'd love to hear about it because I think there's solidarity in knowing that we've all had moments of, you know, and then you brush it off and keep going. So mistakes will happen. The question is, how are you going to react? And how are you going to take them and turn them into something even prettier? So I guess that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. I said that already. Never give up. Never stop dancing. My name is Georgia Reed. You're watching Ballerina Badass, and I love you. Toy, toy, toy.
Und sah dich lang, die